The clock on the dashboard of the patrol car glowed 7:10 p.m., casting a faint blue light over Officer Floyd East Jr.'s face as he drove through the quiet streets of Lubbock, Texas on October 9, 2017. In the backseat, a 19-year-old college freshman, Hollis Daniels III, sat in handcuffs, his head bowed, seemingly just another kid caught with drugs. But what was about to unfold inside the Texas Tech Police Department would shock a community, shatter a family, and leave a question that haunts to this day. How did a routine arrest turn into a cold-blooded murder? For true crime fans, this is a story of spiraling choices, missed warnings, and a tragedy that could have been prevented. Stay with me as we unravel the chilling case of Hollis Daniels, a tale that will grip you, challenge your assumptions, and reveal the stakes of ignoring the signs of a young man on the edge. Background and setup: Lubbock, Texas, is a sprawling college town, home to Texas Tech University, where red brick buildings and wide-open plains create a sense of safety and opportunity. In the fall of 2017, the campus buzzed with the energy of 38,000 students, many of them young adults navigating the freedom of college life for the first time. Among them was Hollis Alvin James Reed Daniels III, a 19-year-old freshman from Seguin, Texas, a small town 3 hours away. Known to friends and family as Reed, he was the son of a former city councilman and a family that owned a chain of movie theaters. On the surface, Daniels seemed like any other student, a communications major with a bright future, a quiet demeanor, and a knack for making others feel included. But beneath this facade, a storm was brewing. Daniels had a troubled past that few on campus knew about. Growing up in Seguin, he struggled with self-esteem from a young age, describing himself as an awkward kid with a bad haircut and round glasses that made him feel out of place. By middle school, he was grappling with suicidal thoughts, a darkness that deepened as he entered high school. His parents, Dan and Janice Daniels, noticed signs of self-loathing and nihilism, but professional help was sought only sporadically. In his sophomore year, Daniels was arrested for possessing synthetic marijuana, landing him in Guadalupe County's juvenile drug court program, which he completed. Yet the shame of disappointing his family lingered, a weight he carried to Texas Tech. At college, Daniels' struggles intensified. Admitted as a probationary student through a transfer program, he was already on thin ice academically. Friends described him as kind but troubled, increasingly reliant on marijuana, ecstasy, and Xanax to cope with his depression. By the summer of 2017, his drug use had escalated, compounded by the death of a close family friend, which sent him spiraling further. His roommates at Talkington Hall, a freshman dorm, grew concerned, noticing his erratic behavior and heavy intoxication. On October 8, 2017, the night before the crime, Daniels' life took a dangerous turn. After a heated argument with friends, he stole a .45 caliber pistol from a friend named Leo, even threatening him with it. That stolen gun would soon become the centerpiece of a tragedy. Meanwhile, Officer Floyd East Jr., a 48-year-old husband and father of two, was a rookie with the Texas Tech Police Department. A native of El Paso, East had joined the force just 5 months earlier, fulfilling a lifelong dream of serving as a peace officer. Known for his warmth and dedication, he was training in Lubbock before transferring to Tech's El Paso campus, commuting weekly to avoid uprooting his family. On October 9, 2017, East was called to Talkington Hall for a welfare check after Daniels' roommates reported hearing a gunshot in their dorm the previous night. What began as a routine call would soon unravel into a nightmare: the crime. The evening of October 9, 2017 started innocently enough. At around 6 p.m., Officers Floyd East Jr. and Tyler Snelson arrived at Talkington Hall, armed with a key from university staff. The dorm was quiet, the hum of student life muffled behind closed doors. Inside Daniels' room, they found a chaotic scene. Drug paraphernalia scattered across a desk, a bottle of prescription pills, and a peculiar spot on the wall, freshly painted to cover what looked like a bullet hole. A deeper search uncovered a revolver hidden on a shelf, but the officers had no idea another weapon was already in play. As they documented the evidence, the door swung open, and Hollis Daniels walked in, his face a mix of shock and nerves. "What's your name, bud?" Officer Snelson asked, his voice calm but firm. Daniels, trying to pass as his roommate, gave a false name, but his roommate, standing nearby, called him out. "That's Hollis," he said, pointing. Daniels' shoulders slumped, his attempt at deception crumbling. Ordered to put his hands on his head, he protested weakly, "I don't consent to a search." But Snelson patted him down anyway. The officer's hands moved quickly, checking pockets and waistband, but somehow, inexplicably, missed the .45 caliber pistol tucked into Daniels' sagging pants. Later, Daniels would testify that the gun slipped lower, into his crotch area, evading detection as Snelson pulled his pants up during the search. Finding the pills, East decided there was enough cause for an arrest. He cuffed Daniels' hands behind his back, conducted a second pat-down, and led him to the patrol car. In the back seat, Daniels fidgeted, the stolen pistol still concealed, making a faint thud as it shifted against the seat. The short drive to the Texas Tech Police Department was silent, the weight of the moment lost on everyone involved. At the station, East brought Daniels to the briefing room, a small space with fluorescent lights and a desk cluttered with paperwork. Uncuffing Daniels to sign documents, a decision that would later spark controversy, East sat at the computer, typing up the drug charge. The body cam footage later played in court captures the chilling moments that followed. Daniels, seated across from East, leaned forward slightly, his voice soft but deliberate. "Do you have a family at home?" he asked. East, unaware of the danger, nodded. "Yeah, I do," he replied, his tone warm, almost fatherly. The room fell quiet, the hum of the computer filling the space. Then, a metallic click, the sound of Daniels racking the slide of the .45 pistol he'd smuggled inside. Before East could react, a single gunshot shattered the silence, the bullet striking the officer in the head. East collapsed, lifeless, as Daniels grabbed the body cam and evidence bags containing the drugs, then fled into the night. The Texas Tech campus erupted into chaos. At 7:45 p.m., an alert blared across phones and screens. "Active shooter, seek shelter immediately." Students huddled in dorms, classrooms locked down, and SWAT teams swarmed the area. Daniels, now a fugitive, sprinted through the shadows, the stolen pistol still in his possession. For 90 minutes, Lubbock held its breath as law enforcement scoured the campus, their radios crackling with urgency. "Suspect is armed and dangerous," one officer relayed, the weight of the loss sinking in. Back at the station, another officer found East on the floor, a pool of blood spreading beneath him. The community's sense of safety was shattered, replaced by fear and disbelief. Investigation. The manhunt for Hollis Daniels was intense but brief. At around 9:15 p.m., Texas Tech Police Captain Amy Ivey spotted a figure matching Daniels' description in the C1 parking lot near Jones Stadium. "Stop, get on the ground," she shouted, rifle raised. Daniels bolted, weaving through the lot toward the site of the former Lubbock Municipal Coliseum. Officers gave chase, their boots pounding the pavement until they tackled him to the ground. As they cuffed him, Daniels spat at an officer, cursing, "You know you want to shoot me." Nearby, in a drainage area by Marsha Sharp Freeway, police found a colorful box containing the .45 caliber pistol, the murder weapon. Back at the station, investigators pieced together the sequence of events. The body cam footage recovered from Daniels was a haunting record of the crime. It showed him asking about East's family, racking the gun, and firing, all in a matter of seconds. But the question that gnawed at everyone was, how did Daniels get the gun inside? 2 pat-downs, one in the dorm, one before the car ride, had failed to find it. Daniels later testified that the weapon, tucked into his waistband, had slipped lower during the first search, evading Snelson's hands. The second pat-down, conducted by East, was equally cursory, missing the gun entirely. The decision to uncuff Daniels in the briefing room, standard procedure for signing paperwork, proved fatal. Detectives dug into Daniels' background, uncovering a trail of red flags. His roommates had called the university's crisis hotline multiple times, warning that he was suicidal and had access to a gun. One friend, hours before the shooting, messaged Daniels' parents, alerting them to his plans to take his own life. Janice Daniels, boarding a flight to Lubbock, called the hotline 4 times, begging for a welfare check, but the information never reached the officers until after the tragedy. A forensic psychologist, Dr. Sean Robertson, later testified that Daniels' heavy Xanax use and intoxication on the night of the crime likely fueled his aggression and warped his perception, turning suicidal thoughts into homicidal ones. The investigation also revealed an earlier crime. Hours before the shooting, Daniels had robbed a man at gunpoint, using the same stolen pistol to steal Xanax. The victim, seeing news of Daniels' arrest, reported the robbery, adding to the picture of a young man spiraling out of control. Phone calls from the Lubbock County Detention Center, where Daniels was held, captured him crying and expressing remorse, though prosecutors argued this was manipulation. In one call, he told his sister he was worried about being kicked out of college, a chilling glimpse into his mindset after taking a life. What's your take? How did Daniels manage to conceal the gun through 2 searches? Pause and think. Could the officers have done anything differently, or was this a perfect storm of errors? Let's move forward and see how the case unfolded in court. Outcome and aftermath. Hollis Daniels was charged with capital murder of a peace officer, a crime that carried the possibility of the death penalty. Held at the Lubbock County Detention Center since his arrest, he faced a trial that began on February 6, 2023, more than 5 years after the shooting. The delay was due to a media gag order issued by District Judge John McClendon, which kept details like body cam footage and police reports under wraps until the trial. When the day arrived, Daniels shocked the courtroom by pleading guilty to capital murder, bypassing a trial on his guilt and moving straight to the sentencing phase. Over 3 weeks, jurors heard from prosecutors who painted Daniels as a cold, manipulative killer who executed East because he stood in the way of his drug-fueled lifestyle. They played the body cam footage, the gunshot echoing through the courtroom as East's family wept. "You just want to yell out at him to get out of the way," prosecutor Jessica Fawcett told jurors, likening the scene to a horror movie. The evidence was damning. Daniels had lied to officers, concealed the gun, and showed no hesitation in pulling the trigger. A note written days after the shooting, where Daniels admitted, "I hate what I've done," was presented as proof of his awareness, not genuine remorse. The defense, led by attorney Chip Lewis, argued that Daniels was not the monster prosecutors described. They called witnesses, friends, teachers, and family, who described him as a kind, compassionate boy who'd been failed by those around him. His parents testified about his struggles with depression and drug addiction, exacerbated by the loss of a family friend. Dr. Robertson, the forensic psychologist, testified that Daniels's Xanax intoxication and mental health crisis had clouded his judgment, turning suicidal ideation into a deadly act. Character witnesses, including a youth minister, described a polite, nerdy kid who'd never shown violence before that night. Daniels himself took the stand, his voice soft and tearful. "I don't want to die," he said, admitting he knew East was a real person with a family, but claiming he had no memory of the shooting itself. After 20 hours of deliberation, the jury returned on February 24, 2023, with their verdict: life in prison without parole. Daniels, now 24, was spared the death penalty, a decision that sparked mixed reactions. East's family delivered a searing victim impact statement. "You had the privilege to be anything in life, but you chose to be a cop killer," his sister said, her voice trembling with anger. "You showed him no mercy, and I pray justice shows you the same. Carmen East, Floyd's widow, spoke of her husband's legacy, founding Texas 635, a charity in his honor that supports families of fallen officers and promotes mental wellness for police. The Lubbock community was left reeling. Texas Tech went into lockdown for hours that night, students hiding in fear as police hunted for Daniels. The university reviewed its safety protocols, with the Texas Department of Public Safety analyzing police procedures to understand how the gun was missed. Chief Kyle Bonath, in a 2018 interview, called it a unique situation, insisting officers followed protocol. But the question of how Daniels smuggled the weapon lingered. The tragedy prompted discussions about campus safety, mental health resources, and the dangers of untreated addiction. Carmen East's wrongful death lawsuit against Daniels, resulting in a $120 million default judgment in 2020, underscored the family's ongoing pain. What do you think the jury got right or wrong? Should Daniels have faced the death penalty, or was life without parole justice enough? Pause and reflect, then let's wrap this up. Closing reflection. The murder of Officer Floyd East Jr. by Hollis Daniels is a stark reminder that even in the safest corners of a college campus, darkness can lurk beneath the surface. A young man with every opportunity to succeed chose a path of destruction, leaving a family broken and a community forever changed. As we walk away from this story, we're left to ponder. How many warning signs were missed, and what could have been done to stop this tragedy before it began? The echoes of that single gunshot in Lubbock still resonate, urging us to listen more closely to those crying out for help before it's too late.